Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, what's up, everybody? Let me make sure that we are live. Let me put this here. If we are live, put a one in the chat. If you can hear me, put a one in the chat. Let me have it stop scrolling. Let me just have it solid. So you all can see that. If you can hear me, throw a one in the chat for me. If you can hear me, throw a one in the chat. Throw a one in the chat if you can hear me. Let me check on my machine. Okay. Look like Tech Xavier's in the building. Welcome in the building. For people who are just coming through, this is what we do. Thank you for coming through, Tech Xavier. Absolutely. Deacon Dave, welcome. Let's clap it up. Clap it up for Deacon Dave. Professor Black Ops, welcome, Professor Black Ops. Thank you for coming through once again. I'm just kind of cycling them. I don't know which one they are exactly. Wire Dog, salute. Welcome for coming through. Well, thank you for coming through. Absolutely. Thank you all for being here. We are going to have an interesting conversation today. At first, I wanted to go over tech tools. But kind of get into cyber career motivation. Because, these are times, it's kind of like the transition between spring and winter for a lot of the Midwest. I think we get like ice storms, all types of weather conditions, all types of things happening. So I think the thing about it is that I want to talk about motivation, because this can be like a motivation drainer when outside doesn't look so good, when work situations aren't looking so good, when you might be overburdened or overtaxed. But actually, let me not get so much into it. Just want to say hello again to somebody else that just joined. Context NOP. Welcome. Make YouTube great again. Welcome. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for coming through. Definitely appreciate you for being here. But without further ado, let's go ahead and start it off with the intro video, and we are going to start here. Welcome, everybody, to Struggle Security, where we are normalizing struggling in cybersecurity. And today we're going to talk about one of our struggles that can happen in your tech career or your cybersecurity career, and that can be that of motivation. Motivation. Sometimes it's so hard to find it. It's so hard to get it. It's very difficult in order to maintain it, but it's a lot of times necessary for you to go forward. I'm kind of reminded of a quote from an individual. I don't know if you all are familiar with Goggins. I think his name is David Goggins. Let me see if I can find that clip really quickly. Let me see, because I think he said something. He has an interesting perspective of motivation. David Goggins. And for all who don't know who he is crazy. First of all, he is extremely crazy, which is crazy in a good way. Let's see. Let me see if I can find. He has all types of motivational videos, but he says a couple of things. Yeah, he got a lot of things that he said. Let me just see if I can find the quote so I can bring it up for you all. But in the meantime, as I'm seeing everybody come, Princessa said, welcome, Princessa. She says, a good distraction while I wait for my chocolate cake. She always around. I'm telling you, she's either going to the pool, she's either getting chocolate cake, she's in the gym. Princessa listened to this on like while doing her errands and everything. But welcome to the chat nonetheless. Absolutely. Thank you for coming through for sure. As you are getting your errands done, Princessa. I used to own a 9800 ball modem. I love that sound. Absolutely, 100%. Octavius, welcome to the chat. As always. Octavius like Goggins too. Listen, Goggins he's nuts, but I absolutely listen to him very often. I listen to him very often. But without further ado, actually, welcome to the chat. Okay. Former Navy SEAL, absolutely. So, like I mentioned, he's kind of, I wouldn't say that he's crazy, right? Based upon typical, I guess, definitions of crazy or anything clinical or anything. But I do think that he has a very extreme personality. He has a very no nonsense type of personality, and I'm really trying to. And let me find that. He has a quote about motivation and about the utilization of motivation. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. If you all know that quote, let's see if he says it. I can't find it, but let me go ahead and butcher it a little bit. Because when he spoke about motivation, he says Johnny Kim is a bad dude too, SEAL, astronaut, and doctor. Absolutely. One thing that I'm gonna butcher what David Goggins says about motivation. He says that motivation is, he pretty much says motivation isn't necessary, right? You don't need motivation because motivation comes and goes, and that if you are looking for motivation in order to get what you need to get done, then you won't get a whole lot of things done. He uses probably a lot of more colorful commentary, colorful words, but I think he does have a point there. But at the same thing, I don't want to completely count out motivation. And in these times, like I was mentioning, it's very difficult to maintain it when outside influences are going on, when you might have situations where you might be overburdened at work. You might have situations where you're having disagreement with coworkers. So I think that I just want to kind of have this conversation. I wrote down a couple of notes when really addressing and dealing with the lack of motivation in the workplace, because some of you might be going through that right now. It might be a struggle for you. Some of you might be in the offices like this right now, right? I mean, that might be you. This might be you, right? Might just be twiddling your thumbs and in the chair, and you might just pretty much be telling yourself,
kind of struggling a little bit.
Sometimes you might be just
kind of struggling a little bit.
It might just be kind of difficult in the workplace.
Kind of struggling a little bit.
And sometimes you might just be having those situations at work where you just like
kind of struggling a little bit.
You know, it could be hard. You know, I want to have this discussion here in order for us to not get into this time, right? Where we're not doing things like this, you know, where we pulling out blickies and shooting the computer up, or we just getting so fed up that we destroying the company information. Or we might be in a situation where we might be making mistakes and messing things up at work. You know, we don't want to get to that point, but we really want to contextualize what that is. So I think one of the major things that you want to do when you're lacking motivation or lacking the desire to work at a certain place is I try to identify the source of the problem, right? You're trying to find out, why is this? So you might be coming to work, you might be tired all the time, you might not want to do anything, but you might have some situations where you're like, okay, this is the cause of my reasoning for lacking motivation. It might be a situation where you might not be seeing your work going anywhere. I know a lot of times for software engineers, especially within big tech companies, they say that they've been working on features for years, features of software, features of applications, where it's really not really creating a lot of impact in the work that you do. This might be common for people working in security operations centers, right? They might be working in security operations center and just addressing tickets, and one ticket after another ticket. It might be, I don't know, China knocking on the door, but they never get in, or somebody just keep doing password resets, and it might look like somebody's trying to do a brute force attack, and your Splunk alerts or your alarms from your SIM keep going off, and you might just be like, okay, here's this again, right? They even call it alert fatigue. Alert fatigue is something. Let me see the real definition. Alert fatigue. It says alert fatigue, also known as alarm fatigue, is when an overwhelming number of alerts desensitizes the people tasked with responding to them, leading to missed or ignored alerts or delayed responses. You know, it could be that type of situation where you just like getting all these alerts, they're not really going anywhere, they're not really meaning anything, and you might not be seeing a whole lot of purpose in that. So kind of what I wrote down is this: sometimes a lack of motivation is caused by a specific issue, such as a difficult project, a difficult coworker, or a lack. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? You know, I'm gonna drop the link because I do want us to talk about, if you all so desire to come up. If you all want to come up, if you all desire to come up and kind of talk through these things, because a lot of times it can be like I don't want this to be any type of speech or motivational speech, but I think a lot of times when you kind of talk about some of those things that might lead to lack of motivation within your tech careers, that might help out a lot in other people's experiences. Because one thing that can happen is that when you are going through something and you recognize other people are going through similar things, you can not feel so much alone. So if you also so desire to come up, feel free to hit the link. But I'm going to keep on going on here with a couple of my notes. Ayo, welcome to the chat. Ayo, welcome to the chat. Ayo, let me find the hand clap. Who else just came? And you say it's China, or is it really China or a VPN? It could be a VPN or it could be China. Who knows? Alert fatigue happens quite a bit when I work at a NOC. Okay, a NOC at a network operations center, right? And I think that the over having so many alerts that that don't really go anywhere, and AO is saying the same thing to NOC Life. If you know that it's not going anywhere, it can be routine and monotonous. And routine and monotonous things might lead you to a point where you're like, I really don't even want to do this job. Like, I really don't even want to do these responsibilities. Let's talk about difficult coworkers, right? That's a big conversation. Let's talk about difficult coworkers. I mean, there's sometimes where our lack of motivation can come with a difficult peer. There might be a peer. I've been in situations where there were peers who thought that they were managers, right? They would try to be assigning you work or assigning you different tasks and things, and it wasn't a situation where they really had that type of responsibility. I remember I used to work for a contracting company, and I don't know about those contractors out there. If you were a contractor out there, let me know. But I was working for a contracting company, and I was brought in because that organization had a lack of me's, right? If that makes sense. So I was brought in as a security engineer, and that organization didn't really have a lot of cybersecurity expertise. And I was brought into that company, I was brought into that group because to really do something, right? To really to lead out a project, because that organization needed somebody with my skill set to lead that thing out, to bring it to fruition, to create impact, you name it. But when I got into that company, or I got into that organization, there were people there that were trying to think like, hey, I got an assistant now, stuff like that. They were saying, hey, I got an assistant. I got somebody who I have somebody who now I can kind of try to boss around. And I don't know if you all have ever experienced that, but people who don't have any power in certain work environments try to get all their power off on you when it's not really even their responsibility. So I remember I was having this conversation. Well, I was first being brought to this group, and the first day, I mean, this guy, one of these guys, he was directing me to go get something from the printer or to print off something for him. I'm like, what? I'm like, printer runs. I was like, hold up. I don't know if you know who I am or the purpose of me being here, but it's not that, because this is how I was feeling, right? I was coming to the organization thinking I'm about to make a difference, about to change the world, and this is my attitude.
I'm really who I say I am, and who these people say I am. I'm really that. So,
see, but he didn't feel like I was who I said I was. He didn't think that my LinkedIn profile meant anything, or the work that I had done previously meant anything. He thought I was his assistant. He thought I was assistant Gabe. He thought I was there to do what he wanted me to do, what he wanted me to do. And that caused a lot of discrepancies and issues within the workplace, because I wasn't having it. Okay, I don't know if my personality comes across the YouTube airways, but I'm not so agreeable if we're not in an agreeable situation. Okay. So yeah, I was lacking some motivation there. Let's see what you all are saying in the chat. AO was saying NOC life is very routine and monotonous. Absolutely. And that can, like I mentioned, it can lead to a lack of motivation in a workplace. Keep it techie. Welcome, man. Welcome, man. Let me go ahead and say hello. Absolutely. Welcome through. Ayo said, oh, absolutely. Definitely. Toxic workplace. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Corey Perry. Welcome to the chat. Corey. Oh, man. Oh, hold up. Pause. Corey says he has an interview. He or her has an interview as a cybersecurity engineer coming tomorrow. Any advice? Oh, man. Advice on the interview. Okay. I would say just definitely be yourself. Don't speak of anything that's not on your resume that they ask you about. Or also don't try to over-explain anything. I don't know you personally, but I know the things that I've dealt with in the work environment. And if there are other individuals in the chat that have any or who can also answer this, feel free to for sure. But I would say be yourself, because you're gonna have to be yourself whether you get that role or not, right? So when you get into that role, you don't want to be a whole different person in a work environment. Number two is speak of things and be as clear as possible when you're explaining your experience or your fit for the job. And yeah, just do it. Just do it. The worst they can say is no. And the best thing that you can get is a learning experience from that, right? They can give you an understanding of areas of improvement. And I would say that would be something that you do too, is that if you find out that you might not get the role, is ask them, hey, where are some areas that I might be able to do better in, right? So I would say just do it. And yeah, you got this. Just like everybody said in the chat, Princess said, yeah, you got this. So yeah, just go ahead and make it happen. Yeah, definitely go ahead and make it happen. But definitely thank you for coming through. Professor Blackout said the staff augmentation. Oh, okay. He's here. Welcome, Professor Blackout.
What's up, man? How are you doing?
Hey. Good, man. Yeah, I want to drop the link and see if people have similar type of experiences. But yeah, I'm going to read a couple of more of these. And then if you feel like speaking of anything that you heard, yeah, we can get to it. Princess says she's also experienced this where people have toxic work environments. I enjoy being a contractor. I really had to do work late and I knew they would charge for that hour. Yeah. Okay. You had a good one. You had a good experience. Not me. Not all the time, you know. Wim says this is how a lot of Black people are portrayed. You can be seen as disruptive or rude and not obeying and disagree. Yeah, that's true. And I want to clap it up because it's the first time he's seen you in it. Okay, man, everybody talking here. Hold on, this might be a couple of minutes, man. Let's see. President said I've been told to go type stuff up, and yeah, no, that's not about to happen. Apparently, there were 10% blame cybersecurity field. Okay. Good luck, Corey. Absolutely. Professor Black Ops, I know you have something to say on that. A couple of more. You got it, Corey. Like everybody say, OG says, I have experienced managers and groups trying to tell me what to do. I had to let them know that I don't work for them. Yeah, sometimes you just got to let them know. You just got to let them know what's up. But thank you. Let's see. A couple of other ones. Esther, do cybersecurity engineer need coding? Some do. But let me start that and we'll come back to that one. One of the questions in the interview is how do you work with difficult people? Okay, that can be one. And Brother Michael, welcome, Corey. And just clap it up for everybody who is new into the chat. Okay, Professor Blackhouse, on to you. I know you probably got something that you've been biting on, so yeah, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Yeah, just tell Corey, don't overthink it. Just get in there and be yourself, be great. If you work on your craft, you're going to be okay. And like Gabe said, man, there's 1,000 jobs out there if you don't get this one, man. I think you're gonna nail it. I would just be confident. Like Gabe said, don't overtalk, man. You can talk yourself into some stuff, man. Just answer the question. Then when they get in your area, that's when you show out. But you know, and two is when I first went to DOD, you think these guys are gonna know everything. You can't know everything. Cybersecurity's too big, coding's too big, IT's too big. So if you're hitting the majority of the points, then like you said, and I think we're gonna get into is that cultural fit. How do you get in there, right? Because I'm a little hood and a little business, so you got those up too. So how do you deal with it? And two is I've been in the game 30 years, so I've kind of got my thing. I am what I am. You're gonna get what you want to get. If I'm not a cultural fit, I'm just gonna do something else. So go ahead, man. I'm gonna let you chime in.
So no, now that you're on the panel, I do want to ask you about that, right?
Yeah.
Have there been times where you have felt that, hey, I'm lacking motivation. I'm put on a project that I don't really want to be on. Like, how did you deal with that and give a little bit of context to what that was and how you dealt with it?
Yeah, a lot of times too is Gabe's gonna chime in is they're testing you. When I first went to DoD, I was an Oracle programmer. I had about 5 years of Oracle experience. I get in there, that's before it was automated. I was in configuration management. I would take the code, check it in, and build it. They wouldn't even let me program for like 3 or 4 months because they were testing me to see if I fit in, and they were trying to see if I was going to get upset thinking I was too big for this project. And two, as you get older, it used to bother me when I'm number. I can do that. I'm going to get paid the same, homie. I ain't no need to stress out because I know I'm doing other things to get better. And I wanted to go to DoD because I want to work for a big organization. And Gabe can tell you, there's a lot of things you learn from a corporate perspective. The tools you use were the best tools on the planet. So even though I didn't initially start where I wanted to start, I knew I had a plan. Worst case, I'm going to ride this out a year. I had big company, experience. Like I said, I worked kind of around the big Oracle. We had PMs and all this. I came from a small company. Yeah. Then you go to a company, my project had 500 programmers on it, right? In 5 different states. So I knew I was going to learn that next level. So even though you go in there, you got to have a plan, right? We playing chess, not checkers. So
now that's the thing, right? A couple of things that you had mentioned. One that I want to hit on, because I think that one thing that is in the work environment that's really common is a clash of generations. And Citizen Lou panel, he talks about that a lot, right? Certain like old people or something in the work environment where you got to go through. And I think it's really interesting because I think that might cause, some lack of motivation at times because there's just different ways of working, right? So I know the one thing that you mentioned was that of, hey, you felt like you had to prove yourself in that environment. They kind of hazed you, right? They kind of hazed you.
Go ahead.
They hazed you in order to do your job, right? Because you weren't really brought in to be hazed. You were brought in to do an output of work. So how do you feel about that then versus how do you feel about it now? Do you think haze? I'm not saying that you do it or anything, but do you think hazing is still something necessary? Do you think that that's something that will bring? What do you think? What do you think?
I'm old, so even though I work with people, I hate people still at my age because I want to see what buttons I can push on you. And this, Gabe, is you can work 25 hours straight on a project, man. And I've seen people mentally break down. I need to know where you at. Because my job depends on you at a certain thing. We're in this together sometimes. I'm cool with 5 dudes now because we work 27 hours straight to try to figure out what's wrong with this bill. One dude basically really start crying. I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man? Everybody's got a specialty, man. You got to figure out what you do. So a lot of times, because I'm old school, I got to kind of poke you to see what you're going to do. And 2 is that's how I figure out what you're good at.
Okay.
I'm old enough where I know my weaknesses. So I tell you, dude, you don't want me to do that. That ain't where a lot of young guys, they want to show I'm great at everything. Nah, dude, I make the money I make because I do 5 things super well. I don't even try to guess. Yeah. Right. So So 2 is, and I understand millennials. So even though we clash, I understand them. And the people above me, the boomers, you got to salute, right? Everybody works a little. Millennials, I got to give them tasks and push them, right?
Yeah.
Old guys, even though I don't think they're good, they want to see a little respect, and I can push you in the corner so I can do my thing, right? So you got to feel how you really get to this level, and this, Gabe, is you got to figure out each member of your team and how they work to get the best out of them.
Princessa said that you a meanie.
Oh, I am. I'm old and grumpy, Princess. I'm fat and I eat too much, so I ain't got time to waste.
Listen, Nice said that you cyberstepping on the people in your. What do you think about that? You say you cyberstepping on people. That mean like you bullying people.
Oh, I do because but I'm gonna interview some young guys that I bully. They tell you though, when shit get real, I take all the heat. Absolutely. As I tell people, I'm about this cyber life. So anything go wrong, I'm taking all the heat. Big boss come down yelling. I've been yelled at 2-star general. I take all the heat. I'm stepping on you because I'm taking all that fire when it comes our way. right?
Listen, I want to say hello to a couple of people in the chat.
Go ahead.
And then I want to give a little bit of a different perspective, not to say a better, but definitely different. AO says, it says not a lot. You might need to write scripts. Okay, that was the coding question. Nicer just come in. AM1, he said he want to get his troll on. Feel free. I troll in his chat all the time. But I want to clap it up for you guys. It just came. Thank you for coming through. Absolutely. A couple of more comments I'm seeing here. She said you a meanie cyberstep. We saw that. Clay, welcome. You're welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat. It's somebody. And then Brother Michael just laughing at you for cyber.
Shout out to Brother Michael.
He said they're gonna call. He said they're gonna cry in the car. Justin Williams said they're gonna cry. And I just laughing at you. So it's interesting, right? Because I think I have a little bit of a different perspective because I manage people who are older than me, right?
Facts.
And it's like it's interesting because I kind of just give them room to do what they're gonna do.
Facts.
And whatever they do, I know within my organization, people managers are called like people leaders or like career counselors. Where I'm not like officially like I don't like tell me what you're doing today and tomorrow. I'm not monitoring what they're doing if they're online or not. But it's mainly like I'm the person that they can come to if they have questions about their career. I do reviews. I help them set priorities and goals. Where I'm like, you do what you're gonna do, and then I'm just here in order to assist you in that process. I might assign you some things, right? I might, put some structure to some of the work that you're doing, but overall, I'm here to be a career counselor. So, I think that's a little bit different than kind of like the testing, because I wouldn't say I test them at all. I don't test anybody. I don't.
But
I'm
you're
like,
a manager though, Dave. I'm sorry, Gabe. When you consider yourself a manager?
Yeah, I am a manager. Yeah,
I'm a supervisor, right? So what we do are different, right? Right.
Okay.
I'm kind of more on the front lines, right? And you delegating to me, right? So you expect us to get tasks done. You give me the supervisor, so I got to babysit other people, right?
You got to do the day-to-day, yeah.
Right. So I think we're coming from
people.
What I can do management. I don't really like it, so I'm more of a supervisor, right? Yeah. So you're gonna give it to me, and I tell people I'm in the digital mud, man. I'm in there rolling my sleeves up, right?
You got to kind of push for like schedules and deadlines and everything. Yeah.
Right. Then two is I was on the top team, right? So I was the fixer. So if it didn't work, like you was the 15 at DOD, they'd be like, "Hi, Ty, go figure it out." Okay, right. That's my job, right? So when I have to go figure it out, that means it's been broke for a while. Customers mad, somebody's cussing, right? So I can't come in being nice and hugging you. We got to get some stuff done, right? So if they got those problems, I send them to you, Gabe. That's not my issue, right? You send me to fix stuff, right? So that's my role. I'm the fixer.
It's interesting because I've been on projects where I've kind of served in kind of both type of capacities. And I think Keeper Techie's point is funny because he says, so Gabe, give people enough road to hang themselves. No, because that's the thing. I don't let them hang themselves, but rather I'm there to make sure that they don't hang themselves. Let me give you an example. We were on an engagement with a customer, and then I was like the lead over the other consultants that were on the team, right? And everybody's like given, like I assigned everybody a certain bucket of work to do. Right. And it was their responsibility to get it done, and not only get it done, but they have to present it before the customer. They have to make their own slide decks. They have to describe everything that they've done. But at the same time, they have to let me know what they're doing and the thought process and the logical stuff behind it. So it came time to present it in front of the customer, and one person on the team, they didn't really have they were kind of lacking a bit, right? They were lacking a bit in their ability to express their thoughts to the customer. And even as we're on the call, I'm noticing that there's some lack there. I'm also jumping in to contextualize what they're saying. Right, so, I'm not letting them hang themselves. I'm not just like, it's not just dead silence or anything. I'm there to make sure that we deliver for the customer, but at the same time, I'm not trying to expose a team member. And then what I did is that on the back end, I'm like, hey, I noticed that there's times where you might get a little bit hung up on your ideas and your thoughts. Let's go ahead and set this up maybe 10 or 15 minutes before we have to talk to the customer. Set some time up with me, and you can kind of go through your notes and go through your thoughts, and so that it might be able to make you a little bit more comfortable before you get in front of the customer. Stuff like that, right? And then even suggesting some other trainings and really giving them that room, not to hang themselves necessarily, but really to help to improve on that capability. So it's a little bit of that. Yep.
Yeah, but real quick though is just a little pushback, and you're right. I work with a brilliant dude, can't communicate because he's on the spectrum, right? So my job is to do his slides because he just sucks at it and it makes him nervous. Now you put him in a room, old school. You put him in a cube, give him some Mountain Dew. He a bad boy. But once he get the customer, because he's on the spectrum, he gets nervous and he gets flustered. And two is he's so brilliant, it's hard for him sometimes. As you go up the ladder, in business, you talk less technical and more business, right? You put it in more business terms. A lot of technical people can't do that. That's why project management was created, right? So so I think too is, and that too, some people just, they're where they are for a reason and they can't rise up, but they're super good at what they do, right? So I try to figure out the best ways to use people. And I whisper to you, Gabe, don't put him on that Zoom.
Yeah.
Or I just come in.
But that's the thing, right? Because how can people grow and stretch if they never put in that position, right? So that's my thing. I'm like, put them out there, let them see themselves, but at the same time, being there in case they fall.
Yeah, but you're right. But let's be realistic, man. There's a curve for a reason. There's an average for a reason. Everybody can't be Gabe, man. And that's what I tell people. I don't write super well, right? So a lot of times I do bullet points and I work with some people, right? So I let them write my stuff up, right? I'm like, here are the bullet points I got up, and they just be like, boom. Now I let ChatGPT do it, but that's a whole nother thing. But so too is like I try to put people in a position and let them be great. Like I said, he the smartest dude, man. We doing Linux and blah, blah, blah. He routing it and doing all kind of stuff. But the customer, man, he for some reason. And a lot of times too, man, when you get in those meetings and you got vice presidents and customers, especially if you get an asshole customers, they're grilling you, trying to make you mess up, man. Right? I mean, you've been there too. So
some of them do. Oh man.
A lot of people can't have that. I love that because I'm gonna show you how smart I am, player. I'm gonna show you I'm about that cyber life. So I don't feel that a lot of people, especially if you're young, man, they start stuttering. One dude, you can just see the sweat rolling down his head. But
it can get difficult. Like, and I think it's definitely based upon who the customer is. Because some customers are like, I need you to be like boom, 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 boom type of thing. So then that you definitely got to bring in the big guns, the people that will really meet that need. But at the same time, those very technically depth people, sometimes they've never been given the opportunity to stretch in their capabilities.
Right.
So at least I try to see if they want to do it. Some just don't want to do it at all.
Well, what we start doing is we have peer review, so you got to go in front of your peers. So we're gonna test you before you get in there. But let's be realistic, like we touched on before, is especially your organization and your ex-organization. When you start paying people $300 an hour, they're gonna make sure you really working sometimes.
Listen,
and some people gonna be an asshole about it.
No, really.
So a lot of people. So tell your audience that when people start, and it's not you, it's your company. You ain't even getting a $100 bill rate. But I've seen people with $500 bill rates, man. So they be grilling the people because they want to make sure they're getting $500 an hour, man.
Right.
I mean, I've seen So that's it. Then two is you just get somebody's bad. Then let's throw that out there. Some people gonna try you because you black, man. I've been in rooms I could just feel it. I'm like, oh yeah, he great. Try me, and I'm about that life, player. Let's go. Right. So all of that's in there. And as you move up the ladder, like Gabe, I'm old. I'm trying to go down the other side now. You just got to be ready for it. For me, people, you said, did you take that personal? No, I expect it, man. I don't even get mad anymore. I want them to do it because I want to show you how smart I am, man.
There's times in which that definitely comes in where people try to test you just because of some preconceived notions. But at the same time, I'll be like, man, are we here for this? Is that what we're here for? Or are we here in order to do some work? Type of thing.
I'm fine with it. You be pushed by whatever, man. Y'all pay for the time, whatever y'all want it to be. I'm like the hood, like the Pookies. I'm pulling up on you, man. What you want? Come on. I'm about that life, man.
Let me say what up to a couple people in the chat. I know Before the Billions just came in here. Welcome. I'm actually do the clap after I say hey to everybody because
Facts.
more people are coming through. Wire Dog mentioned soft skills come in handy.
Facts.
Even when you're very technical, I think even the most technical people can even use some degree or some level of soft skills, whether it's even putting together a PowerPoint or maybe putting together a blog or something to explain their ideas in a simple way. That could be something super valuable to somebody. And welcome, Josiah. Absolutely. He says, hey, everyone. And Nisha says, so Gabe, team misses a shot. He grabs the rebound, slams dunks backwards, backboard. Yeah, it's teamwork, man. It's teamwork.
Always teamwork.
Laughing at you. He wasn't laughing at me. Like, Clyde says, I heard a football guy say once, get good at what you're bad at and great at what you're good at. I think that's wise, a wise maxim for all fields. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not always that way though. I don't like it can be, but yeah, when people, just like PBO was saying, when people are paying so much money, they want you to be good at what you're good at. They're paying for you to be good at what you're good at. But I do think that is a good point though. I do think it's a good point. Yeah, get the likes up. Princessa said, yeah, that's true. $500. I live at my job. Listen, Gabe.
You don't get all of that. Go ahead. You don't get.
I'm definitely battle testing these YouTube spots in these YouTube places. So I don't back down. Nice to say they laughing and I can hear me and welcome. And for everybody who is just coming in here, this is for you all. Thank you for coming through. Okay. So even more on the subject of motivation, right? Motivation. What are some other things that I know one thing that has been difficult for me to be motivated is when I'm not seeing the path forward. So, sometimes people hire people into organizations, hire people into roles, but they don't have any career progression plans. They don't desire to train them anymore. The same thing that you're doing is the same thing to do 5, 10, 15 years your senior is going to do. Have you run into any of those type of situations where you like, okay, this is a dead end job. Let me get here, get this money and dip. Like, has that been some of your experience or have you seen it other places?
Oh yeah, you always gonna see that. But for me, I figured out early on is I'm always gonna have my own career path. Once again, when I was at DOD and they put me in configuration management, I could do it inside out. Once I figured out, I got cool with the web server guys, and I think I said this on another stream. I was like, put me on Apache and Tomcat. I want to learn Java because I was free 3 or 4 hours. So I started learning Java. Then I got promoted to another team because I taught myself a job. And as you're at jobs and you get good at your job, especially as a consultant, a lot of times you have downtime, right? Because you're gonna be in maintenance mode or you're gonna build stuff, even if it's automation, you're gonna build in, and it's why people testing it, right? You could be learning Java. I'm learning Docker, right? That's the next thing in the cloud. Get my Docker and containerization, right? So you should have your own training plan already set up to what you know what you're gonna do while you're on your job.
So that's the question, right? Who is setting that training plan? I know that you said that you set that for yourself. Okay, so you set your training plan for yourself.
Right. So there's two things, right? The job time a lot of times wants to train you in a certain place. I'm a senior guy, so they usually don't have a training plan for me, right?
Yeah.
I've been in the game for 30 years, but even when I was younger, they'd be like, well, you need to learn this. And in my mind, I'm like, I want to learn Java because that's the high development tool, right? So a lot of times you're on your time, people don't babysit you a lot of times.
No.
They tell this your project, you need to get it done. So if I'm a little early, I got my Java book, kind of reading it, working on a few things, have some stuff spinning on my monitor if somebody ride by.
Right.
And you need to have a plan for yourself. You need to have control of your life. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, that's extremely important because I think another point to making a training plan or a path forward or career progression plan for yourself is recognizing where you're weak at, recognizing your deficiencies, recognizing technologies and things that you want to learn. So, I think that's one thing, like understanding where you are and where you need to go. I remember when I was transitioning into cybersecurity from very traditional electrical nuclear engineering, I didn't have any type of networking background, but they were throwing me into all these SAN certifications. Man, I was going through these trainings and I didn't even have a context of what an IP address, a MAC address, a routing, a switching. I didn't have any context of what that was. I was eventually I was able to pass the certification prayerfully and thankfully, But at the same time, I knew I was still lacking in a lot of my network foundation. So I just self-studied for my CCNA and my next role. I self-studied because I'm like, I know that I have this lacking. I know that whether I'm going in pen testing, offensive cybersecurity, whether I'm going to incident response and digital forensics, whether I'm going into anything, network security, trying to be a network architect, I need to have a foundation in networking. So I think that, to your point, setting your own training plan, understanding where you want to go and where you desire to go, and really understanding some of your weaknesses will really help you to gain motivation and gain momentum in your career path. Because otherwise, you won't see any path forward if you're leaving it firmly up to your company to train you, firmly up to your company to say, hey, this is what we want to do with you. So I absolutely 100% agree with that point.
Yeah, and let's be real. I'm 50, right? And I said, okay, I'm been doing security forever. Where's the next big leap? Cloud security. So I got 4 AWS certifications, and I'm 53 this year, right? So even at my age, you got to figure out what's your next skill you need to get the next bag, right? So I'm 53. I'm trying to get to about 65, 10 years. I'm gonna be doing AWS cloud security, little compliance on the top. So that's my future for me, because you got to stay on the IT bandwagon, because if you miss it, I know mainframe guys and BlackBerry guys, there are no jobs for them anymore. So you got to stay current. Yeah. Right. So,
and to your point, like, not only are you developing those cloud and AWS skills, but even the government is looking to expand in that direction. So there's going to be contracts and compliance work that directly aligns with what you're training for. Right, so not only looking at where you want to go, but also looking at the industries. Where is the industry going? So,
and that's why I picked it. And two is, shout out to TAM Women in Linux, is you really want to be multi-cloud. So we get debates. I'm like, well, before I get multi-cloud, I got to understand one cloud, right? Right. Pull up. So AWS, the 800-pound gorilla. I do federal work. Most of our clients aren't in AWS. And a lot of times when I'm a do that, I probably invite you. When you do vendor assessments, most of those vendors are in the cloud, right? So I need to understand what a VPC. I need to understand what a S3 bucket is. I need to understand, virtualization. I need to understand what Docker and Kubernetes is in the cloud. Even if I'm not setting them up, I need to be able to do a security review on them, right? Because it's part of my job. So you got to stay current with your job and get new skills. And what's the future forward?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that can help you to gain motivation, gain momentum as you going forward in your career, right? So again, we're talking about tech motivation, cyber motivation.
Facts.
I thought this was a good question. Matthew says, can you realistically make a salary bump if you stay at your job, or should you change jobs every 3 to 4 years if the market is right? I'm trying to have a 40% jump in five years.
That's
what
too
do you
low.
think?
That's too low, Matthew. 40% is too low. No, to be realistic is you really need to change jobs. I would say 80% of a job, when you get a certification or something new, they give you a bump for some reason inside the organization, especially if since they paid for it, right? I think a lot of them don't recognize it. Now, sometimes they might switch you into a cloud role, but you still don't get that big jump. You get that big jump when you go to another company. And in 5 years, especially if you're a junior, Matthew, I expect you to have 100% pay jump in 5 years, unless you're at one of the big fangs. When I first got into the game and I started getting my certs and my degrees tight, and I got my MBA, but you got to remember I started in 1988. But I got 100% in three years. I got 100%. I wasn't making much money, but I got 100%. And I still think you can do that now, especially if you get some cloud, something hot. You put PMs with something or certifications. Get you a WG master's degree. You just need to set a plan for it. There's a lot of people in the space. Gabe's giving out advice. There's a ton of guys giving out. Black Heights giving out career advice. Some guys I really respect in this game. So you should be at 100%, Matthew. If not, I'm gonna need to come visit you, my young brother.
Matthew, I think that's very, very possible. And I always like to show my work, right? So I actually had a couple of redacted job offers here, and even the years. So let's go ahead and share. So this is where I was. Can you see this here?
Crystal.
Let me zoom in a little bit. So here, and this was in October 2013. These are offer letters. So I actually got an offer letter in 2013 because I was changing roles into nuclear engineering, into the cybersecurity department. And that was my salary. I was at $70K. I was at 70K, and of course, with the little benefits, 10 days. So I got 2 weeks of vacation, which is good, right? But I had a 401k plan, right? 2013. Now let's fast forward. Let me fast forward to. I had a couple of jumps in the middle of this, but let me go to the one. Let me show this one, and this is to PBO's point. This one is for a role making. So I had, is this clear here?
Yep.
And this is in 2018. The base salary was 147,680. I had asked for 155. But pretty much I'm right there at that 150, 152 or so, because I had 147,680 with a 5K sign-on bonus. So to PBO's point, it is definitely possible. Between 2013 and 2018, I had a more than 100% bump. I had, so if I was going 70 and 70, right, that's 140 plus another 10K on top of that, right? So we getting like 108 to 110 percent bump. So to PBO's point, not only is PBO correct, but I've also lived it. So you can definitely go that route within several years. So just FYI.
Yeah, let me chime in on that. I actually had an interview. I didn't get it. I guess I'm glad now since AWS hiring. AWS, if you look at an L5, which is medium, my base was 170. My sign-on bonus would have been 80, and my restricted stock options every year would have been 70. So I think my total base was 347. I don't even make close to that now. But
L5,
look, I think it was L5. The crazy thing is, I interviewed for L6. The Indian guy really liked me. He said, "Go down to L5. Would you accept that?" I looked at it. I was like, yeah. I could do that.
Amazon L5. Yeah. Amazon L5. I think that's a senior, actually.
I think what's 6? 6 might have been a supervisor. I think maybe
6 is like, man, 6 is up there.
Bring them up. But so now if you get with the FANG, that's why I'm getting my AWS skills. I'm gonna re-interview in 2024. That's my goal.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Shoot,
I'm trying to get some of that FANG money.
So this is for Amazon. Was it a program project manager, or was it like
the senior compliance guy? I don't even know if they show that.
Senior compliance.
But he said
that might be.
It might have been summed up, but it was an L5.
So I know L5s. I don't think it would be project management. No. I don't know if it would necessarily align with this. If you're saying an software engineer, L5s have a different base to it.
I was compliance though. It was weird. I was senior compliance. No, I checked that back. It was a cloud engineer.
A cloud engineer. Let me see if they got engineers. So this website, for those who are seeing, this is levels.fyi, and this kind of shows employee, I guess, reported salaries. So if you work for one of these organizations, you can put what your salary is here. I bet you would probably TPM here, because I don't think that they have.
Go back up. I think I might have been. It was a weird one. It might have been solution architect too.
Solution architect track.
Yeah,
that might be it.
I was in some weird spots that were trying to figure it out.
So a L5. Yeah, this might be around what you're talking about, but probably a little bit beefier than this, because not everybody come in at the same level, right?
No. It was crazy. But the stock
PBO was saying.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, PBO, you were saying that this would have been a base of 170.
Yeah.
The stock grant, so they might have had it for like a 3, because typically these are broken up into four years. So each year you would vest 1/4 for this, or they might have a different type of. Actually, I'm sorry. Here it is. Here. The first year you get 5% of the vest. 5% will vest, then 15%, and this is where they nail you in. This is where they nail you in. So take this, the 34,000 times 4 is what they will give you in stock, and the sign-on bonus, he was getting way more than that, right? So at 80K.
But the crazy thing about that is you, like you said, you get those stock grants every year.
Yeah.
So that's what really threw me off. I was like, oh my God, that was crazy. So each year you got another 4 years to get that year. So you can have 100K in 4 years of stock grants.
Right. So when you talk about this number, so you pretty much just multiply this by 4. Is what your total would be. But you get them at different times. So your total would be 138,208 total stock over the 4 years. Now the percentage that you would get, so times 0.05 the first year you might get like 7,000.
Right.
The second year you get 15. So it just keeps going up and up. But anyway, to say that is to say, I don't know how we got on that conversation, but Matthew was asking. Yes, you should be able to double, triple, quadruple sometimes your salary if you're going for some of these roles. And again, that might help you with your motivation because you might have salary goals. You might have bad goals, right? You might be trying to pay off that mortgage. You might be trying to pay off that car because something that can make you lack motivation is if you're struggling financially at home and you working to the bone at work. Those two don't really mix. So, you having career progression, salaries can really help. So jumping will help you double, triple, quadruple what you currently are.
And the other cool thing about that now, and you talked about it, most jobs are remote now for technical. So you might have to go on site for a client, but majority of work is remote now.
Yeah.
So even for the big thing, I was doing compliance. They said 90% of my stuff would have been remote. And every now and then, like we said, when you pay people a lot of money, you want to touch them. So you might need to go out to a kickoff meeting when you finish off meeting, right? Absolutely. So those are quite common. So as a tech lead, sometimes you got to be on site to support Gabe. And then when they go in for the manager's meeting, right? A lot of times I sit in the back row if somebody turns around and they expect me to answer a technical question, usually about compliance or Gabe's favorite thing, a STIG question or something.
Listen, that can be something where you doing a project you don't want to do, like stigging.
I love stigging. I love stigging, man. Oh, I
hated that much. I hated that much.
But keep saying that though.
It caused me to lose motivation. I'm telling you.
But Gabe makes a good point and that's how I make my money is when a lot of people don't want to do stuff, that's when I come in. I tell people I make my money when shit go left.
Yeah.
When stuff goes smooth, everybody's in there. When clients are mad, when a two-star general's cussing your whole team out, that's when PBO shines because that's when you got to roll your sleeves up and it gets for real, right? So that's another thing. When I get paid. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's another thing. Finding what people don't want to do, like you mentioned, and finding a solution to automate that. Right. So that's what a lot of people are doing. They're like, people don't want to do this mundane manual task. Let me go ahead and automate this in order for it to create some type of impact within the work environment. So nobody else has to do it ever again. And then you get shining remarks from your coworkers who are like, oh, I use your tool in order to do that thing that none of us like to do. And then that's how a lot of times you can build up your cachet within the organization. And then you get positive reinforcement from managers. You get promotion opportunities. You get bonuses, all those type of things. So, if you are doing something you don't want to do, maybe just find a way to automate it, right? Find a way to do it easily. And that might just take that off of your lack of motivation plate so that you can really get to the stuff that you want to do. So I see Wire Dog has a comment here. It says, I always tell others to build out your career path, have a plan so you know what to do and how to get there. Absolutely. Thanks. I always tell, I'm a little bit behind in the chat, so I might be getting to some of what y'all saying late. I always tell others to build out their career. Oh, okay, it's the same. This is the same one. Meggie says, my goal is 150 to 200K salary. I don't care about what company. Listen, that's very possible within cybersecurity. If you're talking about a complete package, right? Once you become to kind of like that senior to manager level, those are very good base salaries to even have. So, you can, I say that to say that is very possible. And that levels.fyi website will really give you some context into where you can get those salaries. Salary and work-life balance. Clyde says, Gabe and guests, others, do you all read RFCs? I don't read no RFCs. I don't read no RFCs no more. I know what the protocols do. No. But I have read a couple of RFCs before. I skimmed them mostly, but I don't know. PBO, do you still read RFCs?
The only time I read them a lot of times is, and Gabe will see that a lot, if a certain hack applies to a certain RFC, inside the hack or the CVE, they put the RFC in there to say, okay, this is how they hacked it with this RFC, and this is how to prevent that. So they might show the RFC. Why? But I don't, like you say, randomly go off and read RFCs much anymore. I do look at CVEs a little more because you want to figure out, how they hacked. And usually in the CV, they tell you the mitigation control, especially if you're getting from CISA, one of the big government agencies.
But to get context into some of those acronyms, right? RFCs is request for comments for all of those different protocols. So think about HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. That's what we're using right now in order to talk across the internet. there's an RFC, a request for comments document that goes over all the beginning of that protocol all the way to how it's being used today. So those RFCs, those requests for comments are always being updated. And another thing that PBO had mentioned were CVs, common vulnerabilities and enumerations, right? That tells you about different vulnerabilities that are for systems, devices, networks, all types of things out there that bad guys have used or could use in order to exploit some vulnerabilities on systems. So that's just a little context of what we were talking about with those acronyms. Yeah.
And since I've been studying for the CISP, which I should have took 15 years, I'm starting to, they digging into all the protocols. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot half of these. I need to get back on them. It's like, what's, I like, oh, I don't know what that is. I need to look that up. But
And to Wired Dog's comment here, he says, and some companies like to drag their feet when it comes to a proven training budget. That's very, very true.
But that's something you should ask in your interview, right? When you,
boom.
My bad. What's your training budget?
Go ahead.
How do you train? The company I just left, they were pretty good. They gave you LinkedIn Learning, Pluralsight, and the other one. And two is they give you $3,000 for certifications or degrees for education. So you need to figure out that up front, right?
Absolutely. You can negotiate as a part of your compensation package. You can negotiate a training. So I know for that one I showed you in 2018, I had negotiated a SANS certification, right? One of these $7,000, $8,000, $9,000. It's PBO. They're $9,000 these days for these SANS certifications. I had negotiated to say, hey, I want to go through this training as a part of my compensation package. I want this to be a part of it. And I had them sign it and agree to it before I even started that company. So, you know, as Wired Dog is saying, they drag their feet on the proven. You can't drag your feet on the proven something that you already signed. So, you know.
And two is Gabe's probably a lot better than me, but I always tell people what matters. They want to give you those training budgets because a lot of times they say you have to stay 2 years. I'm like, dude, that's part of my plan to stay 2 years because I need to get this skill set to put them in my belt. Right. So when you get those things, and two is I know young people, 2 years is a long time.
It's
when
a long
50 plus,
time.
It's not a long time. When you've been in the game for 32 years, most of us
haven't been doing it. Listen, most of us haven't done anything past four years, whether it's high school or college. It's fine. 2 years is a long time, man. It's a long time, nuts at least.
You by the time you blink, that 2 years began, especially if you learning, especially if you knew. It took me, true story. I was at DOD. It took me 4 months to figure out what people were saying because, and Gabe sat off on this. The government acronyms are so deep. He was like, "Yeah, we're gonna do SIT and EIT right behind FST, right
and
behind SIT, the POAM with the ATO." I'm like, what's that? Oh, that's the system integration test with authority to operate with the blah blah blah. I was like, man, and
you gotta do this STIG, but you gotta follow that up with a SCAP.
Yeah,
and you gotta do a little bit. Gotta do SCAP on the side. SCAP tool. There's a tool. There's a tool to SCAP, so you gotta download that. And I'm just like, yo, this crazy.
But two is, and Gabe sitting on a little bit is when you get domain knowledge in a certain government and a certain industry, right? Just domain knowledge and working in the government. We ain't even talking about the finance part, just to understand how they do life cycle development, cybersecurity, STIGs and all that. What they need is that's domain knowledge.
Yes, very much so. Yeah. Wired Dogs are saying show on receipts. Yeah, I had to show the receipts a little bit. Nothing crazy, but you know, showing it. AO said, what can one do with a CCNA plus NOC experience aside from a network admin and networking? A SOC analyst or a SOC or security operations center engineer. That's just the foundation. Like you can walk in today with a CCNA and NOC experience and work in cybersecurity with just that. So you know.
You can come over with that. You can come over really and do compliance because
on the government side,
which I'm good at. I talk to networking guys right up, like you said, how to STIG it, how to get an ATO right. You need to have certain networking experience to double check what the networking guys are doing in compliance.
Absolutely. This was Matthew's comment from before when you were talking about the 170 base, and he said, sign him up for that. The time to study. Cloud skills are on fire right now. They definitely are. Like many organizations are still doing cloud migrations, right? They're still moving over their physical servers and their data centers over just into cloud. So I mean, that's years and years of work, and that's just there.
We got another strong 10 years of that.
Easily.
I know companies are so nervous they just putting their development in the cloud. They ain't even put their production in the cloud. They still getting their toe wet.
Absolutely. And many are even afraid, like even when they move something into the cloud, they want a cloud vulnerability assessment, or they want something to monitor what's happening with that cloud instance. So they might be doing a little piece at a time, evaluating it for a year or two, and then start to move over more critical infrastructure into some of that cloud environment. So it's plenty there. So speaking about motivation, when you're looking at the future, you're looking at the trends within tech, cloud. You're seeing a lot of that, where most people, many of us, are just going to have to add cloud into our already our current knowledge base, because we'll be dealing with these infrastructures from now until probably many of our careers are over. Dalawasha said, "Yeah, welcome to Dalawasha." Sorry, go ahead.
No, you fine. And as you as you was doing, as you look, I'm on Indeed a lot. Most things in security, compliance, or any of that SOC, they got cloud in there.
Yeah,
because you getting the log files from Azure and AWS. You keeping them there, bringing them down, putting them in the SIEM. So you got to have some 100%. Cloud knowledge, because they're asking of AWS, Azure, Google. You need to have some at least high level understanding of that now.
Something. Yeah, welcome, Dalawasha.
Oh my God,
Zone.
Hyenas.
Let me say hi. Let me
give him the clap.
With the thing. Hit him with the clap. With the. Welcome to the chat. Definitely appreciate you all for being here. He said good convo, Princessa. She's enjoying it. She's getting her chocolate cake. She just, man, she living a soft life. Like she is, man. On a pool the other day.
She must work for Google, man. Go ahead.
She definitely works for them. He says, I like to think that what makes you worth a lot more money when called. Okay, I think that makes sense. I think he might be talking about like instant response, or when you're definitely needed.
I think when I was talking about I'm a problem solver, I think that's what.
Okay, yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. I'm a little bit behind. No, we almost caught up though. Octavia says SOC 1, 2, or 3, engineer, and then consultant.
That's really I did it backwards, but yeah. So that's my career path.
I was just about
to say, that's how I did it. No, I did mine that way. You can do it that way.
Okay,
you can do it, because I really started off as a Oracle programmer, DBA. Yeah. Then I went to consultancy. Then I got PSTD for stuff not working in production. Then I went over to compliance, because I was stigging and doing stuff to database and stuff, and doing this on the actual engineering consulting side. So I just went over to compliance, and it paid a lot better, to be honest. Security compliance, because it's kind of right underneath management. Because when you do GRC, you telling people what to do, right? You telling the engineers what to stig and incident response, and working with the legal staff, looking at terms and conditions. So there's a lot of things when you get to GRC that's kind of right underneath management. So
it's so funny because when I was reading it, I'm looking at it like it's math, right? So I'm looking at the greater than or equal to sign. He's saying this is greater than that. This is greater.
I don't think you might be right. I think he's saying
no. I think what he's saying is what you're saying.
Yeah. So, but no, that's a good path. I'm actually, and I'm not a big SOC guy. So I'm actually gonna do some videos on SOC. I'm not.
Okay.
I don't like SOC. The reason I don't like SOC is the SOC is an agreement between the accounting firm and the client.
Okay.
And when they scope it, they never scope anything they're bad at. So a lot of times when I do those reviews, I end up having to get extra documentation. I'm thinking, y'all in collusion.
Yeah.
Everybody.
A lot of times when I work in SOC work, especially within industrial environments, it's all about the limited visibility into some of the critical environments, right? Because many of these, like PLCs and human machine interfaces and generators and rotors, a lot of those don't speak SOC language. So it's difficult to really get to telemetry from those environments. So a lot of times we're doing transformations. We're adding things in there in order for us to at least get network, right? At least be able to capture a PCAP from that environment, because those devices are not gonna push anything to us to Splunk or something. So
and I just misread that. You're right. He's talking about
Security
Operations Center. I'm thinking that SOC as compliance to SOC 1, 2, and SOC 2 Type 2 compliance reports. I read it wrong.
I think he's saying you start from SOC 1, 2, and 3, then you become an engineer, then you go to a consultant.
He is, but he's thinking of the Security Operations Center. I'm thinking of compliance. But I'm with him, man. I'm with him.
That's very true. I think that when we were talking before about like moving to different organizations,
Oh,
network,
facts.
definitely,
And-
and that's something that I do from time to time when I'm like, I'm going through it. I'm on a project I don't want to be on. I'll start talking to my network, not necessarily because I'm trying to go somewhere or trying to leave, but because I'm really trying to understand, hey, what's happening within the industry? Where can there might be some potential opportunities other places? So I'm not all like, sometimes I reach out to my network to really get a context of what everybody else is going through too. So hopefully this can be that for y'all. But
and I'm really bad about that. I'm kind of this
Word.
one-man army, only child. I don't play nice with others. So that's something I need to work on. And I see you and other people using LinkedIn to its fullest, and I just kind of dabble in it. I just been in the game long enough where I can talk to 3 or 4 people and make a move if I need it. But now, especially I think millennials and younger people do it much better is networking, because LinkedIn makes it a lot easier. In the old day, you had to call them on the phone. Now with LinkedIn, they at your fingertips, and if you post out there, they see stuff you post. So I think it's a lot easier to grow a network too. So
some people still do hit phones like from time to time, like me and Dewan, like we have each other's numbers, the lab every day. Dewan Lightfoot, and he'll just send like a encouraging message to me just randomly. I'm like, oh man, like that really helped, right? Like that really helped. He started asking about the family and everything. So really good, positive brothers. So like sometimes we don't even talk about nothing tech. He just trying to see what's going on. He's from the Midwest, Chicago guy. So it's really nice to kind of have that network from time to time to kind of reach out to just get like the temperature check. So
facts.
That's definitely been valuable. Yeah, network. Be sure to hit the like. Absolutely hit the like. I've heard PBO a few times now on different shows. PBO, you remind me of my dad. That's a good thing.
I appreciate that. Reach out to me if you need anything. PBO at ProfessorBlackOps@gmail.com. I get that a lot. I'm trying to drop a few little nuggets while I'm here.
Absolutely. Hit your link. Yeah. You drop your link in the chat. PBO talks about a lot of similar things that I talk to on my channel about things to get into in cybersecurity or just things to get into in tech. He has more of a focus on cloud and GRC and government, but I'll let you tell more about your channel because I think that we're about to close out pretty soon.
That's cool.
I know when people start coming in, man, I'll be like, let me tell you, more people will come, the more I'll be like, let me see that time ticker. Let me see where we're going. So I can give that to the family. But yeah, go ahead. Tell about your channel and hit your link in the chat.
Oh, I will. But yeah, like Gabe said, I was doing a lot of AWS classes on Saturday. I think I'm gonna switch over to GRC. I try to do daily cyber news, something on the cloud, right, and something specifically on security and threat modeling and threat attacks. So those are the 3 things you kind of see on my channel. 2 is I try to go live at least twice a week, kind of like Gabe. Gabe's been going a lot more live than me. Man. I try to do 2 late night with PBO Tuesday at 10. And
let's go.
I'm trying to figure out if I'm gonna get back on Sunday at 3. I was doing that. So once again, I was doing, and you go out on my channel, I got a ton of AWS stuff and linking that with compliance.
Absolutely.
That's kind of what it's growing.
I think Princessa says check your inbox on LinkedIn. She's trying to reach out there.
Okay.
And then before the billion says your network is your net worth. Absolutely. 100% right there. 100%. OG says, hey, Gabe, can you from the Midwest? What city? I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I'm born and raised and grew up in Detroit. Me and the wife just recently moved back to the city. So, I'm happy to be here. And yeah, man, I love it. I love it.
I'm right next to Gabe. I'm in Indiana. You can't get more Midwest.
Yeah,
absolutely. So yeah, I'm in Indiana. So we in Midwest. So that lets you know you can make decent money from the Midwest now. You don't really have to go to the East or West Coast. I'm not paying $4,000 for no studio apartment. So
nope. I got a mortgage, and it's definitely not $4,000.
Yeah. So yeah, you can do it from the Midwest. Me and him, like I said, super close. I wouldn't say super close, but we're definitely in the Midwest.
Pretty close. Indiana ain't too far. I could drown out in Indiana with 4-5 hours or something.
I'm catching on a plane. Anything 3 hours. I'm on the plane. I'm on the plane.
OG, man, we definitely got to connect this up. Man, let me know. You definitely let me know. Your game over says salute Gabe. You found him. Absolutely. But for those who want to know, please sub to PBO's channel, Professor Black Ops. Take a look at his channel. And with that said, let's see. Clay says maybe beneficial to do that scheduled show. I gotta start doing interviews too, because I think that kind of interacting with people, it would take more. I guess, load off of me to kind of carry and keep talking the whole time, and that might motivate me more. I got to do some interviews.
I thought about doing interviews. Sometimes they hit, sometimes they don't. I think people like my interview, but shout out to Before the Billions. He had some killer interviews, and it didn't seem like they got the views I thought they should get. But I guess that don't mean you shouldn't do them.
I think he interviewed both of us. Didn't he interview you too?
He did, but he interviewed some. Not saying we're not top notch, but some high level Microsoft guys. I thought their views would be
guy out there. No, for sure.
But so so I'll probably interview. I got a CIO I was going to interview with. And a couple of vice presidents. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out what's the fit, right? Should I go super technical, management, a little of both?
Sometimes, so I know that my audience is primarily, I think it's primarily people who are new to tech, people who are transitioning into cybersecurity, people fresh out of college, but I also got a lot of like professionals like you guys, right? So I'm just really trying to understand who will be a good fit for that interview. Who would you all want to see? Put it down there if you're looking at this. Look at the comment section. Put it in the comment section if you all would like to see a particular type of interview, or maybe another YouTuber. Who knows? I don't even know. I'm very new to interviewing, so man. But on that note, man,
I probably interviewed about 10 people. I probably interviewed 10 people. So
I've interviewed 0, so I don't even.
They went over well. It's weird. The people I didn't think they would like end up liking. The people I thought they really liked, they were okay with it. So it was just weird. So
maybe we could do a panel, just like a lead out some panel discussions with all the brothers, and we could see what that's like. We got some conversations like that.
He said he got some more coming because
be the one to say we need more guys. Absolutely. Dang, keep it techie. I'm about to drop, man. I got to listen. When you got
we've been up for an hour and 11.
These little babies need this little baby attention, man. I got you though. I got you. I'm gonna let you all know the next time. I'm gonna send you all like a message, let you know the next time that I go live, so that you all will have a heads up. Sure.
I'm a consultant, so I'm looking. I saw when you were gonna come on. You moved it back 30 minutes. I was mad. I'm like, what happened to the 4?
She had to get milk.
No, you had to get some milk.
So
I have my schedule around you. I put a meeting on my schedule.
Man. I definitely appreciate it. Appreciate you being here. I definitely appreciate everybody for being here. And this again is Struggle Security, where we are normalizing struggling in cybersecurity. Sorry I couldn't be here longer, but thank you all for coming through. Keep it techie. We want to see you next time, and I'm gonna make sure that I send a message to you before I even go live. I promise to do that. All right, PBO. I see you later, and thank you for contributing, man. Definitely
no problem.
Appreciate
I always enjoy it, man.
All right, everybody. See you all later. All right. Peace.